The various organelles are like the in charge of specific functions. The nucleus is the controlling unit for every organelle. Located right at the center of the cell, it governs the functions of the other organelles. If we zoom in this nucleus, we find these tangles. These are called the chromatin fibers. Well, they are the most important component of the nucleus and even the complete cell, because these chromatin fibers enclose the genetic material within them. When the cell has to divide, these long threads coil themselves to form a sophisticated and compact structure called the chromosome. Genes form the basis of heredity in all organisms. Well, that happens with the help of proteins. The genes present in the nucleus code for specific proteins. These proteins perform various functions that we find in the cell. Unlike the other organelles, even the nucleus has its own membrane that separates the inner contents from the rest of the cytoplasm. The membrane, however, has pores to allow entry and exit of substances across it. Also, the nucleus has its own nucleoplasm that is slightly different from the rest of the cytoplasm. Similarly, in our cells, for the organelles to work, there has to be a continuous supply of energy. The mitochondria. The double membrane organelle is called as a powerhouse of the cell because it produces molecules which are usable form of energy for the cell. So the enzymes in the mitochondria convert these energy molecules into usable molecules called the adenosine triphosphate. It's abbreviated as ATP. Cells can obtain energy when these ATP molecules are broken down. The mitochondria has two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous, which means it allows the transport of materials across itself. The inner membrane is slightly different and interesting to understand. The membrane is thrown into several folds and therefore has a larger surface area. These folds are referred to as cristae. The inner part of this membrane has a matrix which contains all the necessary enzymes for ATP production. Thus, larger the surface area, larger will be the amount of ATP molecules generated. Apart from this, the organelle has its own DNA and ribosomes just like the nucleus. Therefore, mitochondria can make its own proteins and replicate on its own. That means it makes its copies independent of the other organelles.